Hi again, sociology students. So I threw around a couple of words in that last video that I didn't really focus a whole lot on giving you a thorough definition, but they're pretty important. Macro scale and micro scale are the two words that we're talking about, so you need to be able to have those in your notes and not only have these little skeleton notes, like I mentioned, in your information, but also some of the other golden nuggets of information that I provide to you in the explanation of these things. So I've got macro scale as large scale versus, or maybe not versus, micro scale, but maybe more of a connection between the two of them. The only versus I want you to have in your mind is that they have two different definitions. They only have one letter difference in the spelling of them, but they have two completely different perspectives or points of view. Because macro scale is large scale systematic study of society. So we would be looking at entire societies, like the entire population of the United States, or the entire population of Louisiana, or the entire population of UAPTC, student body. These can all be considered types of macro scale pictures or macro scale sample populations, because there are too many people in the country's population to all interact with each other. There are too many people in the state of Louisiana or Arkansas, since that's where we are, to interact with each other and know each other. There are too many people even at our college to interact with everybody and know everybody. But that college, that state, that country, these societies, so to speak. You can think of our college as being a society with a structure and rules and format and schedule and all of this kind of stuff that affects our daily life, which is the micro scale. So micro is the small scale. You can include in your notes that it means the you and me level. It's the human interaction level. But also include in your notes, and we'll talk about this more in depth as we get into future chapters of the textbook and future topics in this class, but the human interaction level, the you and me level, doesn't always have to include words. It can include messages that we get from other non-verbal cues, like posture, or facial expressions, or body language of any sort, even colors and the symbolism that different colors have attached to them according to one society's symbolism compared to another society's symbolism. So colors can have that. A zip code can communicate something about you, the type of job that you have, or the title that you have that's printed on your business card if you have one. These kinds of things communicate something to another individual or group of individuals. So when you have a group, a collection of people that's small enough for messages, micro scale messages, meaning communication to occur, that's called microscale. Now, some sociologists focus their entire careers on studying the microscale, but the reason I say versus or not versus here is because if you want to become a microscale sociologist, or if you are interested in the communication patterns that people have between them, you can never just examine those microscale situations in a bubble. They don't exist outside of the larger umbrella of society. So macro scale is that larger umbrella of society. And we're going to be talking in the next few lessons about the way that macro scale has a shape to it, one culture to the next, one society to the next, like the USA compared to Canada, compared to France, compared to Saudi Arabia, compared to Brazil. You can keep on going and spot different cultures around the world, and you will find some similarities among all cultures and societies. But there are also a lot of differences that come from the macro scale patterns, the macro scale norms, and what's considered normal in society is different from one place to the next. We'll talk about that in depth, and that's one of the topics that's very fun, I think, to talk about, is to compare what is normal here. And please notice my air quotes that I put around normal when I say that, because what the heck is that? But anyway, what is expected, what is commonplace, I guess I could use those words instead of normal. That's really what I mean when I say that word. But what is expected behavior, what is an expected outcome, what is expected or commonplace in our culture is not necessarily expected or commonplace in other cultures. Even the way we organize the days of the week and the calendar is different from here compared to Saudi Arabia, for instance, where they have an Islamic calendar, and I think it's the year, like, is it the year 1384 or something like that? I might be way off, but you could look to see. That could be something that you could Google and see, like, just concepts of time or the date is very different from one culture to the next based on how they or we measure or calculate what our calendar looks like and what year it is. If I'm not mistaken, in China, it's something like the year 4000 something. And again, I might be way off, but I'm using these examples just to show you that our concept of just the days of the week or the year that it is can be very different. There are some people who do not have a roughly 30-day month because they focus on a lunar calendar, which is the phases of the moon. And so there's a different, number of days in what they would call a month, although there might be a different name for it. So just concepts of time and concepts of the way we calculate things or interact with each other, different belief systems from one place to the next, this greatly affects the kind of micro-scale interaction that people have and the meaning that we attach to things, the meaning that we attach to words, the meanings that we attach to the symbols that exist in our society. So there is always a connection between the macro-scale social forces that are at play and the micro scale part of our daily existence and life experience. And in the next couple of videos, we're going to be learning a really key concept. We're going to be learning the definition of a really key concept that is one of our learning outcomes for this class. I think it is learning outcome number 1 on the syllabus, which is being able to develop and demonstrate your sociological imagination. So in the next video, that's what we're going to be learning about, because the sociological imagination is it is being able to think by learning a whole bunch of information that the macro scale part of society controls and influences. The more you know about macro scale parts of society and how it controls and influences micro scale behavior, the better thinker that you are. You're better able to reason your way out of situations, or better understand why certain circumstances happen, the way certain circumstances happen for you in your individual life or me in my individual life. None of us live outside the rules that are established at the macro scale. So these two concepts are really important for you to understand. They're pretty simple, I think, to understand. It's the connection between. The only reason they are verses is because they have two different definitions, and it's very close spelling, so I don't have a special trick to remember which one is which, except the microscope in biology looks at tiny things. Maybe you can think of that. Microscope looks at tiny things. So maybe it's, a little easier to remember with that trick. So they're verses only because the definitions are different. And please, I hope by now you have more in your notes than just large scale and small scale. But they are not verses because you really don't have them. They aren't opposing forces. You really don't have them existing in bubbles that don't touch each other. They are a mix, like the macro scale social forces affect you and me in our daily life every single day, whether we realize it or not. And so in the next video, we'll talk about the sociological imagination, and then maybe the next one after that, or soon after that, we'll talk about social facts, and we will talk about a whole bunch of different concepts that are vitally important for you to learn the basics of these first couple of weeks, because everything that comes past these first couple of weeks relies on this foundational information that you're getting right here at the very beginning. So please review the first video. Please, look at this one again if you need to, and then let's move on. But make sure that you take good notes and keep your notes in sequence, because you're going to need them not only for the weekly quizzes, but you will also need to refer to all of your notes for the projects that come up. Like, we're going to have a project coming up, I think week 3, I will assign it, and it'll be due like the end of week 4, I think. I'm thinking about the schedule that's printed on the syllabus. So make sure that you keep tabs on that. You're going to need all these notes from day one until the day that the project is due to refer to, so you can ace that thing. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Please text me with any questions that you might have. Bye.